This is the Trading Psychology Podcast. This is VP, creator of No Nonsense Forex and author of the book No Nonsense Forex Trading Psychology. And with me, as he is every week, is Rob Reinhold.
Hello, everybody. This is Rob again. And for those of you that don't know me, I've been trading stock and options for 25 years. I've been trading Forex for 16 years. And I pretty much trade anything now. Anything with a symbol. Look, it's all supply and demand. It goes up and down. I'll trade it.
And we are currently in episode 24. We are deeply in the prop firm section of our episodes. And if you remember episode 23, we talked about what happens when you don't pass your prop firm challenge. And, you know, it's a bit negative. So we're going to put a positive one kind of sandwiched in the middle here. And we're going to talk about what happens after you succeed your prop firm challenge. You finally go pro. Okay, what now? You know, there is a transition to be made, and we're going to talk about that all throughout this episode. And, you know, like I said, we're fortunate enough to have somebody who is probably the number one expert on the entire planet in terms of a sample size here, and that's going to be Rob. So, Rob, why don't you go ahead and take it away, and I'll jump in where I need to.
Well, thanks, Patrick. One of the things you said in the episodes I really loved, and you said plan to fail, but also plan to succeed. And so that's really what this episode is about. Last time we talked about if you join a prop firm and they have you a challenge for you to pass and you don't pass it, what do you do next? Well, this one is, let's plan to succeed. What do you actually do after you get past that first stage? Where do you go? How do you manage yourself after that? Now, before we jump into this episode, one of the things I've noticed popping up on my social media and other things is that there are these companies out there that say, listen, we will pass the challenge for you. We'll do it. We'll do it for you. Okay, there's an old adage about how dogs like to chase cars. We've all seen that before. Car goes by, dog chases it. Well, the adage is, what happens when the dog catches the car? Nothing good. Nothing good happens. And that's exactly what I think about this situation. Now look, I've got nothing bad to say about these companies because the only reason the companies are there is that there is a demand for it. If there weren't traders that wanted to take shortcuts and wanted to not put in all the work and effort it takes, look, that's capitalism. If there's a demand out there, the supply will meet it. So I've got no problem with these companies. I guess what I have a problem with is the traders. Okay, you're the dog chasing the car. What are you going to do when you catch the car? Nothing good happens. I want to really address just the traders on this side of this business opportunity is that you need to actually put in the work and effort. And if you're trying to shortcut this, you're going to shortcut this and this and this. And I'll tell you what, you will never succeed long-term in life if you take shortcuts.
Yeah, I can verify this too because I've been approached by one of these companies. They do exist. I had no idea they existed until they came to me for an affiliate deal. And they said, hey, you know, you do a lot of work with Forex and with prop firms, we think this would be a perfect partnership. And I'm like, you guys have to be out of your goddamn minds if you think I'm going to accept anything like this. If you've noticed on this show, we compare humans to dogs a lot. I actually don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think, simple cause and effect, and learning those things is really important. And nowhere is that more prevalent than with dog training. With something like this, yeah, okay, let's say you use one of those companies and then you get onto a prop firm. You haven't won anything. You don't get a signing bonus. You can't cash any money out because you haven't made any gains. And you're going to get exposed. Like, it's such a stupid idea on so many levels. I just had to chime in on that. I was blown away when I first even heard these companies existed. And then I had to find a way to respond to this guy and just tell him, this is the opposite of everything we stand for because there's just no future in that.
Yeah, totally agree. But look, I'm a capitalist. I'm not going to badmouth anyone because the only reason they're around is because there is a demand for it. So I'm talking directly to the traders. This is not in your long-term best interest. It's just not. I wanted to put that to rest. Okay, so we're all going to actually do the work. We put in the time. We built our system. Let's go through what we talked about last week. So we talked about, okay, if you were to fail your prop firm challenge, you needed to look at three things. You needed to look at first, your system. Did your system perform correctly? You go through it, you analyze it, you see, okay, what was going wrong with your system? Number two, You analyzed you. Were you the problem? Were you the reason your system failed? Your trading psychology. Were you impatient? Were you scared to take action? What was it that caused you to undermine your own system that you worked so hard at? And then the third thing that we talked about, and not a lot of people think about this when they join into a prop firm, is that every prop firm is going to have rules. They're going to have rules around drawdowns. They're going to have rules around frequency. Some of them are going to have rules around you can't trade around news reports. These are potential reasons why your system could fail, even if you did it all correctly. You didn't make any mental mistakes. Your system did what it wanted to, but the confines of the challenge said, hey, you can't do this, 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 and this, and your system was back-tested to include those things. We really wanted to focus on that, the rules of the challenge, because we've covered your system. Patrick, you've gone over this hundreds of times in videos. Trading psychology, we're still making these videos, and we're going to help you with every single possible thing you could run into. This one is the new one, the rules of the challenge. You have to understand what the rules of the challenge are. Last week we talked about, okay, if you failed, you got to take a look at those things. Guess what? If you succeed, you got to take a look at the same things, because what's going to happen is you are going to be moved to the next level. You are now going to be given more responsibility. You're going to be given more capital. Some of the handcuffs might come off. You might be able to trade more products. I know at Maverick, when we start people out, we say, okay, you can trade these products, and then at a certain level, okay, now you can trade futures. Now you can trade spot, gold, and silver. Now you can trade this and this and this. So all of a sudden, you can see that the rules are going to change a little bit based on your performance. And as you get better, you have to be changing along with those, or else you're going to fall behind.
So just give us a little bit of clarification here, Rob, if you don't mind, because when you went over those things, it sounded like a checklist that I would have to go over if I failed my prop firm test. But I passed, so why do I need to go back and do all of these things and worry about how it adhered to the rules of the challenge? I passed the darn thing. What do I have to worry about?
I love that question, so thank you. The rules will change. So let's say that you started out with a $10,000 account. You grew it, you met the requirements from your prop firm, and they've now bumped you up to $20,000. That's what we do at Maverick. We go from $10,000 up to $20,000. Okay, at that point, you can't just trade $20,000 because all of a sudden you're trading more capital. Is your drawdown going to be too big if you just take 4 losses in a row now? You're trading bigger size. They have parameters on you still. You may need to adjust some of your position sizes. You may need to adjust things. If you can now trade news announcements, how does that change what you're going to do? If you can now hold overnight, I know a lot of firms says no overnights. All of a sudden, that changes what you can do, and you have to look at, again, your system. You have to take a look at you to really understand how that's going to work. Just for example, let's say that you are now allowed to trade news events. Should you? Well, look at your system. Does your system succeed in news event trading? And number 2, can you handle it psychologically? And if the answer is no, then don't. If the answer is yes, and actually that's where you got a lot of your alpha from in your backtesting, then absolutely, this is what you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for the ability to take on some strategies and some systems that will actually improve your alpha. So yes, it absolutely changes everything when you get bumped up. Some of the things that change at Maverick, when you get up to a certain level, you can trade different products. One of the things we always like to see is once we've seen a trader do really well in something like Forex, all of a sudden we say, hey, we've got an entire other division that trades stock and options. Would you like to have some capital over there? You've proven yourself over here. What about over here? Some people say, yeah, that'd be awesome. Or some people say, no, this is really my niche. This is where I want to stay. So many things change. And again, this is all going to be based on the prop firm you go with, based on their rules. But you really just have to understand how they're structured and then be willing to change and grow as you progress down their path.
And this is something I'm glad we're bringing up now because we haven't brought it up in previous episodes. If you're simply just getting more money to trade with, Well, percentages are percentages. That's an easy transition. The tough part is, like we spoke about in previous episodes, oh, now I just lost a trade that is equivalent to what I paid for my electric bill, or even up to like a car payment. You're going to start seeing things like that in those early stages of, your firm giving you more money. But if they're allowing you now to trade other instruments, that can be very exciting. But you don't just say woohoo and just go immediately start trading them, especially if you don't have a sample size behind it. So, avoid that trap. A lot of the things we do here on the channel, we trade all those instruments, but we haven't brought them into real time. We haven't put them out on display in the big show. Make this transition very, very slowly. It's cool that you guys allow people to do that, because as we show on our videos, there's so much potential upside to these markets, sometimes far greater than what you would normally see in Forex trading. So why wouldn't you take advantage of that? But just understand, it's not just, snap your fingers, click a button, and all of a sudden, you're trading all these things now. Do it slowly. Don't get this far and then screw it up on crypto because you're making a mistake that you didn't realize you were making up until this point. It's a very careful process, I think. My point is just don't go head first into these things just because the opportunity is now there.
That is great advice. And if you're with a prop firm that would just allows you to go trade a product that's different than what you're trading, follow Patrick's advice. That's exactly what you want to do. Keep it slow. What we do at Maverick is if someone says, yes, I do want to trade the micro futures contract, great. We need you to turn in an addition to your trading plan that shows how you're going to trade the micros and your position sizing and all your rules. Basically, everything you did to get to this point. You've got to back test it, future test it, demo trade it, all that stuff. Show us that you've done the work. Absolutely. Then go trade it. It's a great opportunity. But as Patrick said, don't just jump into it. Make sure you've done all the things that cause you to be successful in the first level. Just simply do those again with the next level if you can trade new products. As I've said, every prop firm is different. They all have different rules. Just learn what they are. Traders are in this business to make a profit, and prop firms are in this business to make a profit. Understand that, yes, there's relationships that are built, there's friendships, there's loyalties, there's allegiances. I love all that stuff. But this is a business first and foremost. You must do what's best for you. Because I promise you, the prop firm is going to do what's best for them. In the end, this business is about dollars and cents. So you might join a certain prop firm, you might have success there, and you might find that over the years, it no longer gives you the ability to do what you want. Let me just take an example. Let's say that you joined a Forex prop firm. You really liked them, great people, great support. You met their challenges, and everything they said they were going to do, they lived up to. You produced a good return for them. But now you wanted to maybe add on different products, or you wanted to try different strategies. And their rules just didn't allow that. Go ahead and shop around. This business is mercenary. I'm literally on the other side of this equation telling you to shop around. Because look, like I said, the prop firms are going to do what's in their best interest. The trader, you should do what's in your best interest. And a lot of times, our interests are mutually beneficial and we can stay together. And we have traders that have been with Maverick for 20 years. But if anyone in Maverick ever gets to the point and says, hey, I can't do what I want to do, I will tell them, hey, why don't you go look other places? Here's a few to go take a look into. Don't get locked into one. And I know coming from me, that sounds weird, but look, it should fit you perfectly. And understand that who you are as a trader today is not going to be who you are as a trader in 3 years. So yes, you're going to play the long game. And if the firm works for you at the moment, that's great. But understand, things change and prop firms will change. Some prop firms will pivot and maybe they will reduce what you're allowed to do. Just make sure you find the right firm for where you are at the moment. And then it's going to be the same thing. Learn the new rules for their prop trading. Make sure it all fits within your system. And then go produce returns.
Yeah, it's not like a prop firm is going to make you sign a non-compete clause. It doesn't have to be the only one you join. You can join others as well. A lot of people do. So just remember that too. This isn't, like we said last week, this isn't your one shot. And you don't have to do everything this way all the time. You do have options out there too.
And that actually segues nicely into the last point I wanted to make in this episode, is about diversification. I just met with one of my traders this morning. They've been doing it for quite a few number of years, done really well. We're now getting into the discussions of wealth management. And I said, look, we all started out looking at the standard pie chart of asset allocation, where you would go to a financial planner. They'd say, well, you're 22 years old. You need 60% in stocks and 20% international, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of us looked at that and said, look, we're not doing that cookie cutter BS. We're going to forge our own way and make our own way in this world. At a certain point, you go back to the stupid pie chart. The pie chart is the pie chart, and you want to diversify your holdings. So let's say you started with a certain prop company. You did really well there, and they're great. They're fantastic. They've worked with you in everything you could possibly do. Go join another one. Go take a look elsewhere. What you want to do to build wealth is have multiple streams of income working to bring in new money that you can then invest in multiple asset classes that grow over time. That is what you want to do. And this last one I kind of want to share with you. It always blows me away that I have to bring this up to people. Every so often I'll have somebody that does really well at Maverick and says, oh, I'm going to leave all my earnings in with you guys because I want more buying power. And I always say, why? Why don't you take that money out, put it in your own account, and keep 100% of the profits? You should keep the minimum to make sure that you can work with you in your system, and you should put the rest somewhere else. So look, this is a business. Take that money and get it working elsewhere. I know people that are members of 3 or 4 prop firms, and it's because each one has certain rules that fit what they want to do with that allocation of money. So again, you're going to be growing with these firms. Sometimes you're going to grow out of these firms. Sometimes you're going to need a bigger firm that will offer you more. It's okay. Enjoy the process, enjoy the success, enjoy the ride. You're always going to be learning, always going to be growing, and prop firms are going to be part of that growth.
Yeah, let me add to that. I would say personally, and tell me if you agree with this or not, Rob, that it may not be a great idea to join another firm right away. Whatever your first one is, I would say give it about a year, maybe even a year and a half. At that point, you know that you are built for this life. You are a good prop firm trader because not only have you passed the test, but you've endured. And you've endured new money coming your way. You've endured different types of markets while you're actually a pro, which is something that's actually important. And at this point, you can say, okay, I am actually good at this. I am actually made for this. And now I know that unless the rules are like crazy restrictive or something like that, that no matter where I go, I have a good chance of succeeding. And I know that because I allowed myself to spend a good amount of time here and kind of learn all the ins and outs and kind of grow my fangs and understand that, yes, I can do this because I have done it. That's an amazing amount of confidence, really important confidence and security I think you can carry forward into pretty much everything else. But I would still give yourself a good 12 to 18 months minimum in your original firm before you start branching out.
I think that's great advice. And if you remember in an earlier episode, I said my quote of trading is trading. And that's exactly what you were just saying, is that in the end, when you sit down, you know that you're going to bang out a profit. Every single time I sit down on a trading simulator, I bang out a profit. I know I'm going to. Every single time I sit down on a poker simulator, I know I'm going to bang out a profit. Now look, I'm not great at chess, but I'm good enough to know that if I'm at a beginner level chess simulator, I'm going to bang out a win. That's where you have to get. So you just know that you're going to be able to bang out a win because you've done it and you can repeat it over and over again. Trading is trading. In the end, it's a symbol, it's a market price, and that market price moves up and down based on supply and demand. Period. Once you master that, you can take this skill anywhere. It's awesome. And as Patrick said, once you get it down once or twice, the world is your oyster. You can do anything you want at that point.
And so on that note, traders, since passing a prop firm challenge is the theme of this episode, I have a request. If you would, once you do pass your prop firm challenge, or for some of you out there, if this has already happened, please go to the contact form at nononsenseforex.com and fill it out. I understand some people just simply don't want to do that, and that's totally fine. But if you want to, or you're just ambivalent either way, that really helps create validity to the site. That is kind of secretly how I flex on my haters who say that this system doesn't work. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter if it works for you. It works for a lot of other people here. So there's all the proof you need right there. How many other channels are turning out this many pros? I probably, between the people who have told me via social media or on the YouTube comments that they're all happy because they just passed their prop firm challenge, I would say we're probably looking at 300, 400 in that range, which is really, really great for a market with this level of fail rate to it. But I only have about maybe 60 or 65 on the site. So if you want to add to that, I would really appreciate, go to the contact form, nononsenseforex.com, and let us know.
Well, Patrick, I will be your first testimonial then, because we have single-handedly benefited from what you've done. We've seen many no-nonsense Forex traders over the year, and they are ready to go. We love it. So I'll be your first testimonial right here.
And I really appreciate you saying that, Rob, because I do hear it a lot from my affiliates from the broker side, because they love having my traders because they stick around. They don't flame out like most traders do. Coming from you, knowing that once people actually get to the big leagues, that they're ready to go and they actually have sustainability, that means a lot as well. So yeah, you don't have to go to the contact form yourself, Rob. Just saying that alone is great. But that's really all I have to say on that matter, regardless of whether you want to tell the world about it or not. We wish you all the best in your journey. We hope you make it big, whichever direction you decide to go. And stick around with us. We have so much more coming down the road, but we appreciate you joining us for episode 24. We will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.